He has a monkey wrench at one point, right? Like a monkey
Yeah.
wrench. He just smacks him in the face with a monkey
But
wrench.
like truly though, the best part was his reaction to the spit in the mouth.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the biggest reaction. He's like, no!
Welcome back to Popcorn and Beers, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. All right, so Jordan is at work, kind of, so he can't join us. He hasn't joined us yet on the drink, and I'm just going to buy him a Bloody Mary and have it delivered to his home on the day that I know he's out of work. But that's a good morning drink. I'm rocking Coors Light where I am at. This is a foreign, not a domestic.
I got a ginger beer, bud. Delicious.
You should have seen the epiphany that was on a mutual friend of Josh and I's face when he goes, Budweiser, and I go, yeah, it's a foreign, and he goes, it is a foreign here.
No.
So obviously we are in scary, spooky horror month of October. So scary that it was hard to come up with our butter on top for Friday the 13th in the month of October, which seems like the perfect date to release like a badass horror film.
Right.
So many missed the mark on that one. But
yeah,
I think they're expecting everyone to go out and see what was our butter on top this week, Exorcist Believer. So Jordan, what did you think of it? Because I wasn't here all of last week. You were. So talk to me. What'd you think?
That right there was my attempt at showing a head spinning around.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's an attempt to cash in on just the, in many, many people's eyes, it's the scariest movie ever made, the original Exorcist, of the older generation especially. To my generation, younger generations, it has not aged well at all.
It's hilarious.
I think it's a horrible, really boring movie. But this one took advantage of, new CGI effects, things like that. The makeup was great. The girls looked terrifying towards the end stages of their ordeal. I think the girls acted it very well, and they were very creepy and scary. It's just the references to the movie are vague. They drop in, Reagan mentions that they name drop Reagan a couple times from the originals just to really get you to.
Oh, not Ronald
This is
Reagan.
The Exorcist. Okay. Just to be like, this is in the realm of The Exorcist. But it really could have just been any copy and paste possession movie. But I liked it. It's the perfect Halloween October theater movie. I'm gonna give it a popcorn and 1.
A popcorn and 1. The best shot scene in this entire movie happened at the very beginning, when an earthquake hits the island they're on. That scene was shot beautifully. The earthquake scene where everybody's panicking, you get to see literally the building start to fall apart during the earthquake. The one thing that was bad was the wife's makeup in the earthquake scene. That was it. They could have done a better job with her makeup in that scene. Because she went from a young, vibrant, beautiful woman to all of a sudden, why is she 45 years old? But outside of that, it was a great, beautifully shot scene. Now, if you want The Exorcist from 1970, and you just want to see someone performing an exorcist for an entire film, this is the movie for you. Because you only get that for literally 18 minutes. You get 18 minutes of an exorcism. And I'm like, how the hell where do you get off calling this movie The Exorcist? And you give me, literally in a 2-hour, way too long film, way too long, so many bouncing around points. Like, we're going to bounce here. Oh, now we're here. Oh my God, now we're in an insane asylum for no reason except for I might have to commit my daughter. Like, that was such an unnecessary scene. 18 minutes of an exorcism for a movie called The Exorcist, shame on you. Because I was like, okay, here we go. We'll get an exorcism movie. We're going to, and you start off, oh, okay, they've been possessed by demons. But I had to wait almost 45 minutes to find the girls. There's 45 minutes where they're looking for the girls. Just find the damn girls in the farmhouse. All right? Why do I have to wait 45 minutes where we do some, coded racist language just so we all know it exists? Thanks for that, Hollywood. We're aware. That was so unnecessary. 45 minutes of that? 45 minutes of that unnecessarily. And then, who just let some random dude into their house that's a next door neighbor when he gets home from searching for his daughter? Do you remember that scene, Jordan, when he walks in his house and there's just a dude who has let other people that he does not know into his home? And he's like, get him out. That's the reaction to that?
Yeah.
Get him out.
Yeah.
I would lose my mind. I would.
Yeah.
It was crazy. There's just a random witch blessing his house, and I'm just like, what is going? Are you holding a seance in my home when I'm not? How did you get in here, Bob? But a lot of it is crazy. There's way too much bouncing around. The priest is such a coward. I'm just gonna let you guys know that. And in his time to shine, he does not. I will agree with Jordan. Hair and makeup was fantastic. It was great. The girls looked fantastic when they got there, but even the scenes that were supposed to make you like your skin shiver or whatever weren't even that great. I think the scariest scene wasn't prolonged, and that's when Homeboy falls into the water with a rattlesnake. Right? That was, to me, I was like, that's real horror. What is he gonna do?
Terrifying, yeah.
Like, it's a shallow puddle with a rattlesnake, and he's in it, swimming around, and the rattlesnake's right there, and I'm like, let's soak in, let's milk it. That's terrifying. And nothing happens. I'm just led to believe the rattlesnake was like, I'm out.
Yeah. I'm more afraid of you than you are of me.
Yeah. Like, nothing comes of it. For me, it's a popcorn. Just, the girls skip away into the woods for no reason. The explanation about why they decided to do it was stupid. It was very nonsensical. In reality, they could have made a really great movie if they had just focused on the Exorcist portion of this film. But they didn't. Like, and they give a random nurse, a Bible and go, here, you perform the exorcism. What?
Anybody can do it.
Let's see what the kid can do.
It was just the popcorn for me. Josh, has anything we've said have you interested in watching this film? As Jordan gives it a pop 1 and I give it a pop.
The more you describe it, the more it seems pretty good. No, I'm good. I saw Exorcist when I was like 20, maybe 22 for the first time. So I was like, okay, let's just get it over with. I got to see this classic movie. And like you said, Jordan, it's hilariously bad because it's been spoofed and been parodied and copied so many times. Now it just looks like trash.
Scary Movie 2. That's all I could think of.
Right?
All the Scary Movie 2 references.
With what's his name? James Woods.
Yeah. I'll probably end up seeing this movie again next weekend with probably a different crowd because people want to see this movie. It doesn't matter what anybody says about it. People are going to go see this movie, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to go see it again with another group of people. And it's probably going to be hilarious to me. It's probably going to reverse into a straight up comedy for me. So,
all right. So this week was my Drunk Classic. I really missed you guys. I wasn't able to join you guys for the show, but for the Drunk Classic, I chose Flatliners, directed by Joel Schumacher, starring Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, Kiefer Sutherland, Oliver Platt. The 1990s Avengers. And
yeah.
And I still liked it. I think it's still kind of relevant. I still think that is kind of a frontier we want to know about. I think we still get into fights and arguments about what happens after you die. Like, do you just go off and become a tree, or do you go to heaven, or do you soak into your memories and nostalgia? And this is obviously more of a suspense horror film. One of my favorite lines from the movie, I said it right before we came on today, was, so many crackheads, we don't have time for anyone else, as they're in the hospital.
Right out the gate.
That one got me. Inexplicably, like, Kevin Bacon quitting school was kind of funny to me. Not inexplicably. There is a reason why he's quitting school, but inexplicably, instead of just walking out the front door of his dorm, he's rappelling down like he's in a prison.
Yeah, like what is this? Like a Nickelodeon sitcom or something?
Why?
Yeah, just
why?
You're a grown man. Just I don't want to be a doctor anymore, and walk out.
And his buddy's just not surprised by it whatsoever, just chilling,
Zero
having a
explanation.
conversation.
Yeah,
Doesn't even ask a question about it.
totally normal
He
behavior.
does this all the time.
The only
he
thing
does this
missing
all the
was him
time.
like
Anywhere
throwing a
we
chair
go.
through the window first, you know?
Yeah, and I think the question I kept asking myself was also, would you be willing to just to see what it was like? And it's very interesting how it takes on the dynamic of hyper competitive, intelligent humans, right? Are these people so arrogant and so competitive that they would keep pushing their capabilities to the point where someone might actually die? Also, they're all terrible in their own right. They've all done really bad things, except for maybe Princess Julia, who just happened to walk in on her father doing heroin, right? Outside of
What
that,
about the guy that actually doesn't participate? That's like, oh man, my aunt would have seen me stealing a sandwich from her.
the
That's the worst
babysitter,
thing he's
the babysitter seems.
Yeah.
Oliver, he was the goody though through the whole movie, right? Oliver Platt, like Daniel Baldwin was a terrible human, like
He didn't know
awful.
how to make sex tapes.
Yeah, he was really
His
bad.
angles
at it.
were off.
But also, I mean, maybe he gets off on seeing his own butt, you know?
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
But his girlfriend had an excellent explanation for why it's such a terrible, disgusting thing to do to somebody. When his girlfriend's like, this is actually why I'm leaving you. It's not because you cheated on me. And then she goes into an explanation. I thought her explanation was fantastic. Like, it wasn't like about trust. It's just like, you're a dirty human being. Like, you're terrible.
Dirty boy.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. But I think the storyline was good. Some of the effects still kind of held up because they didn't go too deep into like trying to go super CG or super crazy. I mean, I was telling Josh before we got on, you get those Joel scenes where he just films the exterior haunted Catholic church, and he films it for like a good 45 seconds before you get to them talking.
Yeah,
But,
just like a few like zoom cuts with weird twists, so it makes the tree look like it's moving. Pretty cool,
Yeah.
Schumacher stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously one of the better directors of our time, especially of that time. But it was a fun movie for me. I think as far as the realm of suspense horror goes, it's one of the better films when it comes to suspense horror. I think it's interesting to think about when you die or when you go seeking these things out, you bring something back with you, right? Because each one of them brought something back with them. So I still give it a pop and 2. I really do. I think it totally blows the remake out of the water, to be honest. But for me, pop 2. So, Jordan, go ahead.
I thought it was just like a really, really smart, great concept, and it was going very well, but then it just kind of lost its steam and got pretty lazy towards the end. Like they didn't know how to really keep that intensity up throughout the whole thing because it was just, it's a very tall, grand, great idea, but it's hard to bring that into like a focus that still keeps up that same energy. Like you said, stack cast, but just some really subpar dialogue. They didn't really utilize that cast the greatest. Like I like the line where he's like, is he going to try to flatline himself? That would be. Like,
yeah. Oh, really? Would it?
Yeah.
You don't even need context.
Figuratively, yes. Corny 90s synth throughout the thing. That's great. I always love that in movies. I love catching that. The whole movie is just everyone constantly hitting on Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Hey, can I touch your hair?
We get it. Yeah, we get it. Why does being dead, especially it's funny for Kiefer Sutherland, look like him in the Lost Boys when they're flying, like how the vampires fly in the Lost Boys.
It did actually.
Just a first-person view of the terrain just whooshing by you. I wrote, I did my notes too, bacon repelling out of the window. Also, why does he drive around like a military-grade Jeep?
With like tarp on it and stuff. Is he in New York City? What is this?
They're just really trying to sell that, hey, this guy's the badass of the group.
Yeah.
He's a bad boy. He doesn't play by the rules, not even his own. It was Kiefer Sutherland, his just totally empty apartment. Like that should be red flags for everyone around him. Like this guy's a psycho. He's prepared to leave in 10 seconds flat when you hear the sirens coming, right? That's a heat reference for you.
He's the heat man.
Some good lines in there that I did like were, die to be a hero if you want one day, but don't die to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good one. And I like the little ghost kid that just keeps, again, with the laziness, they just didn't know what to
Beating him
do with the
up.
consequences of, just beats him like a Cherokee drum the whole movie.
Yeah,
Just
like a
beating his
Cherokee
ass.
drum. Yeah.
Like he just has a monkey wrench at one point, right? Like a monkey wrench. He just smacks him in the face with a monkey wrench.
Like truly though, the best part was his reaction to the spit in the mouth.
Oh,
that was the biggest reaction. He's like, no! And the kid looked like the devil.
Yeah. I mean, this is for what you did to me and my little dog too.
I like the anti-bullying message throughout. Pretty much everyone, except for Julia Roberts, is haunted by these bullying incidences in their past. So don't bully, because if you get into a weird science cult where you start killing your friends, that shit will come back to haunt you. So don't do it. Popcorn and 1 for me.
Pop and 1,
Popcorn
Josh.
and 1. I just want to say thanks very much to Tim Burton Batman film for lending Bruce Wayne's mansion to this movie for a set. Like 90% of the movie was filmed in the same place. And why was there... Like, there's the scenery was obviously so intentional, but like, there's surgery being taken place in a museum. We're in a museum,
right? Yeah.
Or not even some kind of thing, Pantheon, whatever. Anyway,
well, remember they didn't want to get caught because they could get kicked out of medical school, so they found an abandoned
I'm not talking
museum.
about when they were doing secret stuff.
But
even when they were in class.
Yeah,
the classroom, all of it was the same building. Like not in the movie, but in reality.
Terrible.
But on that note, too, going to Kiefer Sutherland, living in this 5,000 square foot home, or plus, a huge house. He's a brand new doctor. He's still in school, kind of, but that's why he doesn't have any furniture because he's house poor. But what I did really appreciate was that one scene where it shows the lights were on the edges of the walls. On the floor. That was actually kind of cool. Like, anyway, that's just personal taste. So 90s, like early 90s, a little bit 80s. The whole aesthetic of the film. And I looked into it slightly, and that ties in with the scenery and all this stuff because they were intentionally going for a fairy tale element. It's a fable. It's not a real documentary thing. So that's why everything was so fantastical and Tim Burton-y. Like, you can't deny that. It kind of reminded me too of Jacob's Ladder, actually, overall. How they're playing with death and there's demons that wrestle out, blah, blah, blah. Everyone overacted, but I guess you're supposed to when you're being a hotshot surgeon who's in a Brat Pack secret club where you kill each other. Everybody was in the movie, though. Oliver Platt. By the way, Oliver Platt, necessary? No. I mean, I love Oliver Platt. That's always nice to see him, but, like, he didn't even need to be... Nothing he says is relevant to the film, or important to the film. Anyway,
his role was to go, game over, man. Game over.
Yeah. Why can't we just go to the diner and chill? Do you ever notice how of course you have noticed how Kiefer Sutherland talks, but it's just like all breath. It's like a full exhale every time he speaks. Like, we're explorers of the new frontier, and I need your help. Julia Roberts is so hot.
Yeah.
And
it's Kevin Bacon and not me.
He is sandpaper incarnate. But okay, also a huge problem with the plot. It is a cool idea executed in, it's a really retro way, but in a good way still. It holds up. But okay, you die and go to the transition or the afterlife, either way. And we have childhood trauma. That's what the movie's about. Like, childhood trauma, that's the ending of the movie?
No, I think it's atonement. Okay, is the whole point.
It's atonement.
Yeah.
Forgiving yourself, asking for forgiveness, all these things. Okay, that's fine too. I get what you're trying to say, but let's be real here. This is where the movie starts. Because now we've done our atonement. Let's keep flatlining until we find out what's up with the afterlife. We still don't even know. Technically, we don't even know if anything was really happening. Because the bully who spits in mouth wasn't there. He was doing it to himself, right? They were just having, brain damage. They had brain damage.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that any of that actually happened. So that's lame
fair.
too.
Yeah. Could also be brain damage. 100% right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 98% sure, but I'm arrogant as these surgeons were. I give them okay. After all that, I give it a popcorn. Although it was cool to watch, I'm glad I saw it, and I wouldn't be mad if I saw it again. Just because it's definitely a time capsule. The Crow, Jacob's Ladder, Batman's that whole scene, post 16 Candles type of era. It's cool. Whatever.
I think you should explore it like you just did next time you watch it. Because if you, it'll be your favorite film ever. If you're like, oh, bro, there's so many different things going on. Could it be that they died? Could it be brain damage?
Re-examining.
What
I'm sure. And the symbolism's
like if
all
you
over the
watch
place.
it like you watch 12 Monkeys or Jacob's Ladder, it'd be your favorite movie ever. And I never hear the end of it. But
I really would re-examine it. But definitely 2 lines I wrote down because they were worth mentioning for me. It was Kiefer with the tagline for the movie. Somehow we brought our sins back physically, and they're pissed. And then Kevin Bacon, the atheist character at the end, he's like, "I'm sorry, God, isn't that enough?"
Yeah. We stepped on your turf.
Oh my gosh.
He's pissed.
Yeah, it's a popcorn, but I'm not mad at the movie at all.
I still think it's a really good movie, but I think it peters out at the end. And I think the last line is so unnecessary when Kevin Bacon puts his ear to Kiefer's mouth and they go, what did he say? And he said, today wasn't a good day to die. Like that's super corny.
No.
Super lame. But also the opening scene is super unnecessary where Kiefer just hops a fence, but like he had no need to hop that bar. He could have just kept walking straight because then he proceeds to just keep walking the direction he was originally going. But it was an excuse to show off his white tee tucked into his blue jeans with the black belt and the black trench coat.
But it's also symbolical, you know. He could have stayed behind the barrier, but he crossed the barrier bravely. It's metaphors.
Pushes thresholds. Taser face. What does it even mean? It's metaphorical. All right, Josh. So, what were you watching this week?
Oh, yes, sir. I didn't watch a whole lot. I did, like, real briefly, hot take moment. Maybe we'll rebrand this as some kind of cool catchphrase. Like, maybe like when you get a Whopper that's, like, really hard and it almost breaks your teeth. Anyway, hot take. I saw John Cusack briefly on a TV show, like it was muted, but it was over there. I saw it. Aren't we just sick of John Cusack already? Get over him. Like, come on. No more John Cusack.
My next drunk classic for Halloween.
I'll watch that movie. I know what you're talking about. I'll make an exception for that. I'm making an exception for that.
Talking about too.
I haven't seen it, and I want to. Anyway, so okay, touche. But I did watch Identity Thief. It popped up on the Netflix. Jason Bateman was in it with Melissa McCarthy. Both of them pretty much perfect performances, a decent plot. What was alarming is how it didn't quite age well, or I don't know, it's obviously out of its time. Because the whole movie, the beginning of the movie, Jason Bateman is getting scammed. He's getting his identity thieved.
Yes.
And Melissa McCarthy's spending the money and blah, blah, blah. Now there's the implications. Oh, now you're involved in some kind of felony. And then the charges are going against Jason Bateman. And no one believes him. And he's like, I got my identity.
Yeah, he gets like fired.
And everyone's like, yeah, right. Like, get a grip, buddy. So like, if you said that today, it'd be like, oh, okay, movie over. But not this movie. He's got to do this great, crazy, I don't know. It's a really funny movie. It's enjoyable. It does kind of bother me. I'm not a big fan of movies where like it's just constant torment for the protagonist, or everything going wrong. People just being evil.
Lessening, like he's learning a lesson from the other side, like the way the other half have to live and how they're not so different. Almost like it's planes, trains, and automobiles, right? It's basically what it is.
I'm with you, and it works out that way. And as long as you bring it home like that, like they have, It's good,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of movies where it doesn't. This is not quite the same, but I'm not a really big fan of the vacation movies because Chevy
Yeah.
Chase is always getting hurt or he's always messing things up so clumsily. It's just kind of hard to watch. It's like, what are you doing?
Stop
Like watching
doing
a kid try to cook, you know?
it.
It was a funny movie. I really enjoyed it. Melissa McCarthy is just great. There's a reason she's big time.
Yeah.
I just don't like that kind of torment sort of comedy as much as other types of comedy. But it's still a great movie. Holds up. Glad it's on Netflix. Good popcorn and one for sure.
I do hate that she got kind of typecast for a while there. I think she's talented.
Yeah. She just played that character really good.
Yeah.
But I think she'll never be put in a box because she is an improv giant. Like honestly, so she can do whatever she wants. So she just has to find the right script, and she'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, never worried about her. Like you're supposed to worry about celebrities. Anyway, next I watched Wind River. That is also on Netflix, I believe, and it has Hawkeye. Hawkeye's in it.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner's in it. His TV show is lame, but it has a good heart. Anyway, Jeremy Renner's in it. It takes place in the northern mountains of Wisconsin, I believe, or Wyoming.
Unnecessary sideswipe of the show you're not even reviewing.
Yeah.
Renner, your show sucks, dude. Like your TV show. Sorry, bud.
So unnecessary. You're
Well,
like,
I'm
You
sorry.
mean renovations?
Yeah, Renovations. It's like such a cool
You
idea.
mean renovations?
But it's
man.
so
It's
corny,
not
like clearly
groundbreaking?
written dialogue, and he's the guy who has the theme song. He wrote his own theme song, and it's all about being a rebel and stuff. And like, what's going on here, bud? Anyway, he's an American hero, and I love Jeremy Renner. So let's not hate Jeremy Renner. I just don't like his show. Let's get back to the point. All right, bring it on home.
Sorry.
Now, this movie Wind River has Renner and another Avenger in it. Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen's in it. Man, I'm old. So they're in the movie. It's about like missing persons.
Not the one from Step by Step, the other one.
The other one, not those two. Billionaires. She still has to work, so she's in the movie. It's a cool movie though. It's from the north of Wyoming in the mountains on the res. It's almost entirely on the res. The movie in the snowy December mountains where there's like nobody up there. Missing persons report. So the FBI or FBI has to team up with the local hunter, and he's Jeremy Renner who lives on the res. They married him into a Native American family, so it's totally normal that he's there. His family's gone though. Have you guys seen this movie that I'm describing?
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go too hard into it then. In the end, it becomes Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner going into the mountains doing a murder investigation. They both have deep reasons for it. It's really cold. It's a pretty solid movie. I wouldn't say it's an extremely moving movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is pretty straightforward. It's just a murder mystery, or a homicide case. But it's very strong in the end. It's a Native American woman who's brutally raped and murdered, and she runs 6 miles in the snow barefoot. This is not a true story, but her lungs burst, and they find her, and then they eventually find out what happens, and then that's the end of the movie. But it shows the deed being done, not in a direct way, but like there's a brutal beating, rape, and murder in this movie, and it shows it at a surprise, and like holy crap. But all that gets settled in the end. It's got a great ending, great ending, but then it stops and hits you with some true facts texts, and it says of all the statistics about kidnapping and all these things, Native American women are the only ones that aren't recorded. So there's no known number of how many Native American women disappear in America, and obviously in America. And it really just kind of makes your jaw drop to be so ignorant that you didn't know that. I sure as hell didn't. And it really sinks in your gut. It shows you a really could happen type of moment. And it tells you at the very end, this kind of thing probably happens all the time and no one helps these women. So that's really heavy, really heavy. What was cool though in the acting though, going back to the movie, Elizabeth Olsen plays the fish out of water FBI agent. She's a cop from Vegas who gets pulled in because she's the only one who can do it, and they're constantly hitting her with this like, you're not in the city anymore, little girl, and she just rolls with it. Like, she's a real like cool character in that she's helpless in some ways, but she figures it out, and that's a really interesting character to play. There was an unnecessary shot of her butt though, like, oh, there's her butt. Okay. Popcorn 1 is what I say to that.
Poppy 1. All right, Jordan. After that somber review of a movie that sounds like it's pretty good and should be watched. Josh, by the way, where can the people see that?
I believe that is also on the Netflix. It was kind of a recent... They had a little pop of like maybe 10 or so projects that they've dropped out. So that's what I've been watching these past couple weeks. Mostly Netflix.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much. And Jordan, what are you watching?
I got to watch one of my favorite scary. It's in my catalog every October. I got to watch this movie. I think this movie has caught some shrapnel in the past from you guys. It's as above, so below on Amazon Prime. It's a found footage movie about a group that goes spelunking in the Paris catacombs. It's got some Tomb Raider vibes. It's very heavy, like. It tries to squeeze so many like occult references to the occult in this movie that it just kind of loses its way. Gets into like alchemy, which is a very deep, weird, confusing occult segment that it takes a lot more explaining to vaguely understand what they're referencing to. So if you just watch this movie as like a layman of the occult, you're gonna be like, "What? This is horrible. I don't understand what's going on." But there's just a lot of good jump scares and just very spooky stuff. Underground is always a great setting for a scary movie, just because of the claustrophobia and all that.
Yeah, what was it? The Cave also did it? Was it The Cave, or was it like the movie where they go down? There's another horror movie.
The Descent.
Yeah.
The Descent.
The Descent. Yeah.
Yeah. Super scary. The main girl is super cute. The whole cast is actually really pleasant and good.
Classic horror
she
story.
acts very great in this movie. Yeah. Hey, she's the main girl. It's a trope. The main girl, the final girl, if you will.
It just seems like such an unnecessary comment for your review. She's cute.
Yeah, but she's cute too, but
let me give you a reason to watch this movie. Cute girl.
Yeah. Yep.
Every horror movie ever has a cute girl. If you didn't make a horror movie with from like Friday the 13th all the way through what is it, Nightmare on Elm Street, it's always gonna have a cute girl.
And it's not even just a cute girl. It's usually a girl that like makes you go puppy eyes, like, oh.
Like the sweet, innocent.
I don't consider myself claustrophobic, but I would never, ever climb through small mine shafts and all that stuff.
No.
Like, take everything away from this movie, all the horror, whatever, demons, monsters, and just a movie about cave exploring like that in these very small spaces. That's terrifying to me. Hate it.
Yeah.
Are you claustrophobic?
No, I don't consider myself claustrophobic, but then again, I don't put myself in positions to really find out.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. It's convoluted and the resolution is not explained at all, but it's just a super ambitious movie. I've seen this movie more than 5 times and I catch something new every time I watch it.
That's cool.
But I'm still going to give it a popcorn in 1.
Well, that's,
okay.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the chances that a horror movie makes a popcorn in 3? Like, it's probably like 1% of all horror is a popcorn.
Dude,
right?
I think maybe the John Krasinski. Don't say a word.
I know just what you're saying.
The Quiet Place. Yeah.
Quiet Place.
That was 3. Great.
I would sneak that into a 3.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Barely. The Black Phone has been reviewed on this show. That was a 3 for me. I think that's a great, masterful one. There's another one I can think of that was on my potential drunk classic, but I'm gonna
save it.
So okay. I'm gonna tease you and I'm just gonna watch it and then throw it out there one day, maybe. I don't know. Next I watched Ahsoka on Disney Plus, the short series about Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
The coolest of all Jedi.
She's been
She
in
is
vogue for a
very
couple
cool.
years now as one of the coolest Jedi.
But that's the thing about the show. Great show, by the way. It was fantastic. It ranks in the Star Wars shows. It ranks below Andor, I think, and somewhere in between some of the Mandalorian seasons. I know there was one Mandalorian season that was awful. A couple of them were. One of them was great. One of them was kind
First
of
one was
mediocre. So
great,
it's somewhere
yeah.
in the middle of the great. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of deep lore. There's a lot of deep Star Wars lore to take in and references in this show. To where if you
Yeah.
haven't seen the Clone Wars, which is a task, an undertaking to watch the Clone
Yeah.
Wars, there's a lot of episodes.
I've seen the Bad Batch, but I've
I
never
would
watched
love.
the Clone Wars. It's just too much.
And if you also where I picked up a lot of these references were from playing the video game Jedi Fallen Order. So there's some barriers to understand some of these things. Luckily, I had that in my pocket. Yeah, me neither. But yeah, the video game is kind of where I learned about a very crucial element to this show, which is the Dathomir witches. And if you don't know, if people know of Dathomir, is that's where Darth Maul comes from. But they're on that planet apparently is run by these witches. They're very heavily involved in this show. So if you don't know, if you haven't seen Clone Wars or maybe play Jedi Fallen Order, that might be kind of lost on you. You might be like, what? There's witches now in Star Wars? What's going on? The formula for these shows are just add a Mandalorian and quick and early. Somebody needs to don a
Get
Mandalorian
a hunter
helmet
right
and
now.
This is the way.
you will have moderate success. There's some ridiculousness. They're riding in the mouths of flying space whales that can jump into hyperspace, apparently.
Yeah, they're migrating space whales.
Duh.
I guess so, yeah, if you will.
If you will.
Pinocchio, that shit.
A bratty. I can't stand the bratty, rebellious adult. I don't know how old Sabine is from. I think it's Bounty Hunters. Is that what the show's called? Disney Plus Bounty Hunters.
Probably.
Or Rebels. Star Wars
Rebels.
Rebels.
Oh,
Star
Rebels,
Wars
yeah.
Rebels. Sorry.
That was the
And then
first
you
Star
also
Wars
have Jedi
thing.
Stories help you with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Jedi Stories
There's
yet?
a lot. I have not. I would
They're like
like
5
to.
minutes.
It's very high on my list.
Each one's only like 5
Yeah.
minutes. So
That's
you can
cool.
just cruise through them in
Yeah.
like 5 minutes.
It's great that, especially in those little bite-sized bits to add
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
It's easy. Sabine Wren, I believe is her name. I don't know if she had. I don't believe any relation to Kylo Ren. Annoying. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but the brattiest, rebellious adult thing, like, just get over yourself already.
Yeah.
Help
Like,
the
what are you,
team out.
25?
Do something
Like,
helpful.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to find my friend.
I'm mad.
I'm done picking on it though. Rosario Dawson is excellent. Her character, the conflicts, everything involved with her is excellent. The bad guy and his Padawan are really great.
She's cool.
Yeah.
The action,
She is.
yeah, she's really cool. The action and the scenery are fantastic. There's one episode in the middle of this, and it's as good as anything Star Wars that you'll see.
Cool.
Episode 5.
The Hayden Christensen redemption is in full swing.
Ooh.
I think he's made a couple appearances and a couple projects, and you're happy to see him. Genuinely, I give this a popcorn and 2.
Yeah, I gave it a popcorn and 1. However, I said in one of my lines, since you reviewed it perfectly, so I don't think I need to add anything, because I also watched that this week, was finally a Star Wars shows with some damn Jedi fights. Why have I had to wait for so long to get I don't care about Andor. Oh, I'm really good with my laser, and there's an Empire War about to start. And,
Wow. Totally
of
opposite opinion of me.
No, I just want to see Jedi fights. That's all I want to see.
You see both sides.
That's so funny because for so long I've been saying, why can't we have a movie with not one Jedi in it? This whole Star Wars universe is so massive, and they're so far and wide that people go their whole lives in this universe without seeing a Jedi. Can we have one?
I love
movie
you.
without
You're
it?
wrong, man. You're wrong. You're just wrong.
Well,
because it's so.
Well, I'll tell you
boring.
what. Andor is one of the most lauded Star Wars projects, so maybe I was right.
Yep.
I ranked it at the top.
Super boring. Sorry, it was super boring, super drawn out.
What are you, 10 years old?
That's not
10
why
years
I
old.
come to Star Wars. This is not
Jar Jar
why
Binks?
I come to Star Wars. And here's the
Like
thing:
Jar Jar.
you don't get a ton of Jedi fights in A New Hope. You don't get it. So you're bitching about nothing because you don't get a ton in New Hope. You don't get a ton in The Empire Strikes Back, which was one of the best Star Wars films ever. You don't get a ton in Return of the Jedi. You get like 2 fights, and it's the big one at the end that we all talk about. No, I want it littered. like filter it
You should be
finally at
watching
the end
Clone
of what
Wars, you silly goose.
Clone
episode
Wars.
Clone
yeah,
Wars is
episode 3.
nonstop.
No. Episode 2 sucks.
No, I mean
episode
the
2
show.
is one of the worst Star Wars films of ever that could ever exist.
No, yeah. No, episode 9 is the worst, but I was
It's
talking
up
about
there.
the show. You should be watching Clone Wars, dude. Like,
I don't know,
it's
man. I'm gonna
nonstop
challenge you with
lasers.
episode 2. Episode 2 or episode 9. Because episode 2, I have to sit through an hour-long love story with Anakin and Padme.
Oh,
and I don't
ew.
where they're like
You're
away.
right.
And I'm just like, dude,
Yeah.
this is so droning.
Frolicking.
Yeah.
Anakin.
And it's like an hour.
I have
I get both.
emotions. Yeah.
I get both sides too, Jordan. But the thing is, like, I've gone so long, and I like Mandalorian. I wasn't a hater of Boba Fett. Like, I was fine for it. They just went for the nostalgia with Boba Fett. I'm here for it. But at the same time, like, if you give me a show about a Jedi, give me a Jedi fight. Okay, fine. I get it. You're telling the story about how this all started, what led to everything. But and it's the same with one of my favorite Star Wars films ever, which is a lot of other people's favorite Star Wars films ever. The one that Andor, the Andor was the prequel to. What was that film?
Rogue
One.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Great.
But
Top
yeah,
tier.
I'm just like, dude, give me Jedi action if you're making a film about a Jedi.
You're right, and without the Darth Vader at the very end, the movie would have suffered.
And he wrecked
You know what I mean?
shop. He
Yeah,
wrecked
when he's
shop.
like,
That's
"Oh!"
one of the best Darth Vader scenes ever. Finally, you got to see like
that was pure
he's
cinema.
ripping
Like,
doors open, just throwing bodies. Like
it was like some kind of sci-fi horror, like Alien
Yeah.
movie or whatever. It was awesome.
It's like, oh, so this is why
Darth
everyone's
Vader
afraid of him.
horror film.
Yeah. Sorry, Jordan. What was that?
Tile on
Mhm.
Netflix. A big. Would you call it a blockbuster? Can streamers be blockbusters
Yes, they can.
by definition?
By definition,
Yes, they
no.
can.
Okay.
But I
No
don't
one's
think
waiting
this
in
would have been a
line.
blockbuster. I think this was more like they went for the Little Things vibe with Denzel and Rami Malek.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
with this
For
one.
Oscar bait, huh?
Yeah. Benicio del Toro.
Mhm.
He plays Benicio del Toro. He plays himself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's good. He's got the scowl and the kind of weird, lazy eye, suspicious thing going on the whole time.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake. Didn't need to be Justin Timberlake in this role. I don't know. It could have been anybody. He was so vanilla in this movie. And he's like a good actor. I think Justin Timberlake is a decent actor. Like he's played some good roles.
He does
This
do
doesn't need to
the
be
very
Justin
beginning.
Timberlake
He
for
gives
this
you a little
movie.
rock your body in the mansion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He adds nothing to this movie. Unfortunately.
Oh. Oh
He
shit!
does bring sexy back.
Yeah.
A little Alicia Silverstone, which is great.
She looks great
Lights
in this role.
She
Like
does.
she looks great
Yeah.
in this role. She played the role. She could do this role
Yeah.
forever. If she gets typecast into this character forever, perfect.
Yeah. She's the great woman behind the man,
Yeah.
behind the dude, behind another dude. Yeah. She's great. Love it. It's just I don't have too many notes about this because it's just
Okay.
such a slow burner.
Yeah.
It's just a slow burn detective thriller. It's just super solid. There's nothing that wows you about this movie. It's just a movie. I'm gonna give it a popcorn and one.
Is
So,
it going to be one of those? Is it like where Benicio spends a great amount of time silently staring at a character and talking softly once in a while?
Yeah.
Because
Quite a
that's
bit,
an
actually.
automatic pop
Yeah.
in one.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Quite a bit
This is
actually.
Benicio being Benicio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you, I enjoyed the Jesse James joke at the dinner table where he says Jesse James is robbing a train, and he said,
Not PC.
"Give us all your money, or we'll kill all the women and rape all the men." And a guy raises his hand and says, "Sir, I think you got that backwards." And then the gay man on the train goes, "Jesse James, I think he knows what he's doing. He's been robbing trains for a long time." That one I thought that was a funny joke. And then when when Benicio del Toro sits down with the contractor that he feels is hitting on his wife, And mind you, this whole movie's done very much in the True Detective style. Like, it's very True Detective.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a True Detective season.
Yeah. So he sits down with the contractor and he goes, "She's cute, right?" And the contractor goes, "Which one?" And he goes, "Are you willing to die over this?" And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "How far are you willing to take this? Are you willing to die for her?" And he's like, "I'm not sure what you're getting at." And he goes, "If I ever get a whiff of you and her, I will kill you." And then she walks back over. Like, he doesn't say, "Are you attracted to my wife?" or anything. Like, how far are you willing to take? Are you willing to die over her? Because I am. And that scene was like pretty.
Well, we better get home. Traffic's gonna get heavy pretty soon.
That is essentially what the contractor does. The contractor's like, "I should probably leave then. So have a good one. Nice seeing you, ma'am." So the cops using "next time you shoot, aim for the front. It's a lot less paperwork." That was kind of like, wow. Hey,
I believe that's made up. It sounds real.
Sounds real. Heavy on the ASMR, Jordan. Heavy on the ASMR. They use a lot of sounds to kind of stimulate your senses. Very heavy on like the chewing potato chips and like the wind chimes, and like it's very ASMR. It does have a typical ending where everyone's just dirty. Like, everyone's dirty. At the very end, I don't think I'm spoiling everything. I think you kind of suspect everyone's dirty throughout, especially one of the main characters. I was like, that was pretty obvious from the jump. Yeah. Outside of that, I give it a pop. There's a pop for me. Sorry, Jordan, go ahead.
I watched the other 3 even smaller Wes Anderson Netflix collaborations on these Roald Dahl films. The Swan, ridiculous, sadistic, just a bad story, very uncathartic. I just didn't think it was a good story that could have been made into anything. I think this one could have been left on the shelf. Maybe pick another story. Yeah. I think it's lazy. There wasn't really anything distinctly Wes Anderson-y. There was, but it was just like, oh, very basic Wes Anderson, like down to his most basic tricks. Too much to buy into. The Rat Catcher had me really engaged for a minute, but quickly dissolved into just complete ridiculousness. Ralph Fiennes? I always say his name. I always get hung up on that. Rafe Fiennes.
Yeah,
twist.
Nah, just nah on that one too as well. Nah. Poison was the bright spot out of the 3. Dev Patel is great. I think he's perfect for Wes Anderson, his universe. He should be in every Wes Anderson film.
He's good.
Moving forward. He's great.
Yep. Poison was my least favorite.
Really?
I thought it was the funniest, though.
It wasn't. I don't think it was good. I don't think really any of these were good. I hated the ending of Poison.
Yeah.
But
very
I enjoyed
racist.
Poison.
Very racist end.
Yeah. Yeah. All 3 together, lump them in popcorn.
Okay. I didn't get to catch all of them yet. I've seen pieces of some of them, so I'll review it whenever I actually see them. But I think it also has to be kept in mind that Wes Anderson's weird. He's doing something probably just outside of, like, he's trying to push the envelope a little more weird. And he has weird stories from a weird writer who kept these on the shelf because they were too weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So the whole thing's weird. That has to be grain of salty. Definitely, if you didn't know Dahl was attached to the movie at all, then you would probably give it a popcorn in some regards, right? Like the celebrity is part of the thing, right?
I think Wes Anderson.
No? Yeah.
If you didn't know Wes Anderson,
Wes, of course, you
would think somebody ripped off Wes Anderson. Rat Catcher
it
had
is a match
deeper
made in
meaning.
heaven for sure.
The town was trying to hide a murder in Rat Catcher. Remember the end? Okay. What are the rats feasting on? And you see the wanted poster or missing poster in the. It was So in the what was hiding in the haystack or whatever, and it was like you get to infer it was the town murdered somebody, and that's why all the rats were around.
I think I glazed over by that point, and I didn't really pick that
It's
up.
only
But,
17 minutes long.
I still.
And the Swan, super sad. In fact, because the Poison one was funny, I told Josh, I wish I watched the Swan before I watched Poison, because the Swan made me like really depressed. Like I was very sad after I watched Swan.
You know, maybe it's not your cup of tea visually or aesthetically by any means, but I think everyone should be able to at least recognize that it's a spectacle. You know what I mean? And not everyone can do that. I don't know.
Yeah, keep in mind, I gave Henry Sugar a top 3.
Yeah.
I loved Henry. I thought it was fantastic. So
Yeah.
And didn't you see Sugar Fry?
I did. Jordan, were those your last 3?
yes.
So, yes, I did, Josh. I will say for the Ratcatcher, for me, was a pop 2. I enjoyed the story. I thought Rafe did a fantastic job in the role. I like seeing, what's his face, Orlando Bloom in that role. I don't know why I like it. I just like it because just straight-faced Orlando Bloom, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the same thing he did in Legolas, or as Legolas. But the Swan, I gave a pop 2 because it was a nice story, but it was like a terribly sad, depressing story. Poison, the ending ruined it for me, like the whole thing. And him, and then it getting like very viciously racist at the end. I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did watch Henry Sugar. Benedict Cumberbatch is great. The value of what's the key to this story? It's knowing the value of being able to read what a playing card is from the back, and how rich you can get. But also that money doesn't make you happy, right? Is another theme here. But what does make you happy is helping those that are less fortunate than you. And they really go into that, and how he never wanted it to be about him, so he soaked himself in anonymity as he did all of these things, to include his accountant, who was never allowed to know his real name or why he was doing what he was doing with all of his funds. I gave it a pop 2. I thought it was still a good movie. I really did. But for me, it was, it's probably going to be your Oscar candidate for short film. I would say probably all 3 of them.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely a buckshot blast there. Were they going to put it up as a collection, or are all 4 of them going into consideration?
No, because that would be Emmys. They'd be TV shows. It'd be an anthology series if they did that. So they released them all as they released them all as short films, right? Because then you could submit for Oscars for each one.
Interesting. Well, yeah, guaranteed winning something. Best set design. That's a good possibility.
Yeah,
the way they played the sets was really cool.
It was, and it was the filming was great. The dialogue was fantastic, right? Wes Anderson. I just said it was a show of skills. Where if you don't like Wes, you're gonna say this is the mark of his arrogance. Look at how arrogant he is. Look at how good he is. And if you love Wes Anderson, you're gonna be like, hey, this is everything I was expecting from Wes Anderson. The dialogue was fantastic. The set design was fantastic, and you get your usual cast of characters that always work with Wes.
Yeah, and it's always pretentious to call someone like this an artist, but he is truly an artist, and he'll be recognized for knowing what his style is and knowing how to lean into it the right way, and he nails it, dude. He's just like a Tarantino or all these other directors that just have very specific style. You could see a 10-second scene and know that he made it, or they made it, excuse me.
Yeah. At first, I was like, why is Josh so obsessed with this film? Because he's texting and he's blowing me up while I'm on kind of a pseudo vacation. I'm like, oh my God, who cares? No, I'm just kidding. But I was like, dang, I'm probably going to have to watch this film now because Josh won't shut up about it. It must be great.
It's so good.
And it was good. It was very good. But then the second I turned it on and I saw the set, I was like, oh, it's Wes Anderson. That makes sense.
Yep.
That's why Josh is obsessed.
It's like, oh, this sandwich definitely has mustard on it. It's like very obvious.
So for me, I finished Only Murders in the Building season 3. By far the best acted, worst season. It was not a good season. It wasn't even that entertaining. But you got, Matthew Broderick makes an appearance, and his episode is very funny. Martin Short, Steve Martin still are great. You get Meryl Streep, Paul Rudd, lots of cameos, and it's fun. That one guy from Grey's Anatomy who no one really knows who he is, but he's got really pretty eyes. He's in it, and it's just it wasn't a good season, and the way they ended it, if you haven't seen it yet, It came out on Wednesday, so spoiler alert, cover your ears. They set up the next season so corny, and I thought this was supposed to be the end, and of course there's another murder in the building. I thought this was the final season. And you lose, someone that's been an ancillary character throughout most of it, when you think it would have been better if they just had eliminated one of the other characters. But they didn't. So I gave it a pop 1 just because of that. Meryl Streep was a joy, though. It was nice to see her in it, and it was nice to see her in a role which it seemed like she was having fun with. Next thing I watched was Hijack. I finally finished the Idris Elba series on Apple TV, and let me tell you, I wasn't wrong when I gave you my initial review. It was terrible. It was so bad, and they give you a nice 20-minute ending where everybody takes their loved ones, everybody get really sad. This might not end the way it should end. Uh-oh, they might die. No, they're not going to die. We all know they're not going to die. If they died, I'd give it a better rating, but it's a popcorn. Terribly acted. It was just bad. It was a bad film, bad plot, so many opportunities to not suck, and it just, in spite of all the chances it had, it still sucked. We're going to be back next week with another episode of Popcorn and Beers, and that will have Jordan's Drunk Classic. So what can the audience join us in watching, Jordan?
I'm doing an all-time American classic, American Psycho.
I knew it.
Oh, goodness.
Christian
American
Bale.
Psycho. I've been circling the drain of this movie. I still have never seen it, but I've seen so many scenes.
Wait, what?
That I know it was inevitable that I see this movie. I finally am going to get to see it.
Oh, my God. It's great.
So this would put Flatliners for me, and Jordan last week puts me at 8. I believe, Jordan, you're at 7. I'll verify this in the comments. And Fry, you're at 4, I believe. And this puts me at 9 with American Psycho. So it's 9, 7,
So you
4.
didn't get the thing I just did when I smacked my arm. You didn't get that sound. Okay.
No, sir. I'm assuming it's heroin-based?
No. That was a booty. So have fun with this one, Josh. This is another one of those films that put Christian Bale on the map.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, as you know, we had a difficult time finding this week's Butter on Top because for some reason, Hollywood took a day off on Friday the 13th, which was confusing to me because what a great day in October to release a horror movie. So we're going to go to Netflix.
Superstitious movie.
We're going to go to Netflix and we are going to do The Conference, a horror movie coming out Friday the 13th on Netflix. So a free one for all of you. Be sure to join us at the movies. You bring the popcorn and we've got the beer.